Lee Tae-ho stepped off the transport ship and felt his stomach drop. Not from the artificial gravity, but from the sheer size of what he was seeing. The Galactic Council Station was huge. The metal walls curved up and up until they disappeared into darkness above his head. "Welcome to Council Station Alpha," said a voice behind him. Tae-ho turned around and saw another human walking toward him. She was tall and wore a neat blue uniform with gold buttons. Her name tag read, Park So-min, Senior Ambassador. "You," Tae-ho said, bowing slightly. "I am Lee Tae-ho. I am ready to start my job." Park So-min smiled. "Your first day as Earth's newest ambassador. Are you nervous?" Tae-ho nodded. "Yes, very nervous. I have never seen so many different types of aliens before." As they walked through the station, Tae-ho saw creatures he had only read about in training. Books. There were tall, thin beings that looked like they were made of blue crystal. Their bodies caught the light and threw rainbow colors on the walls. There were short, round aliens with 6 arms each. Some creatures floated in the air without any legs at all. "The council chamber is this way," Park So-min said, "but first, we have to go through security." They joined a long line of aliens waiting to pass through security. Tae-ho watched in amazement as each type of alien had to give up something different. The crystal beings placed their hands on a machine that hummed loudly. Bright lights flashed, and Tae-ho heard a computer voice say, "Energy weapons removed." "You may pass, energy weapons," Tae-ho asked. "Their hands can shoot laser beams," Park So-min explained quietly. "Very dangerous." Next came a group of bug-like aliens. They were as tall as humans, but had hard shells like beetles. Each one had to put their arms into metal boxes. Tae-ho heard clicking and grinding sounds. When they pulled their arms out, their sharp claws were gone. "Razor claws," Park So-min said. "They grow back in a few hours." A floating cloud of gas approached the security station. It looked like a small storm cloud with lightning inside. The security guard, who was a huge alien with green skin, pointed to a glass box. The cloud went inside, and the box sealed shut. The lightning stopped flashing. "Acid breath, Park," So-min said. "That box will keep it contained." Tae-ho saw more and more aliens giving up weapons. Some had guns built into their bodies. Others had poisonous spines that had to be covered with metal caps. One alien looked like a walking tree, and security guards had to trim its branches because they could shoot thorns. "This is amazing," Tae-ho said. "Everyone has to give up their weapons." "Not everyone," Park So-min said with a strange smile. They reached the front of the line. The security chief was enormous. He had to be 3 meters tall and looked like he was made of rock and metal. His name tag said Vorth, Security Chief. He had 4 arms and eyes that glowed red. Vorth looked down at Tae-ho, and his expression changed. The red glow in his eyes got brighter, and he took a step back. "Human," Vorth said, in a deep voice that sounded like grinding stones. "You may pass." Tae-ho looked around, confused. "Don't I need to give up my weapons?" Vorth's 4 arms moved. Nervously, "Humans have no weapons to surrender." "Please, go through." "But I have a data pad," Tae-ho said, holding up his small computer. "And a pen." Vorth made a sound that might have been laughter, but it sounded scared. "Those are not weapons. Human. Please, go through quickly." Park So-min took Tae-ho's arm and led him through the security gate. As they walked away, Tae-ho heard Vorth talking to another security guard in a language he didn't understand. But the tone was clear. They were worried about something. "Why didn't I have to give up anything?" Tae-ho asked. "You'll understand soon enough," Park So-min said. "Every human ambassador has to learn this lesson for themselves." They entered the council chamber, and Tae-ho's jaw dropped. The room was massive. It was shaped like a bowl, with seats going up and up in circles. There were thousands of seats, and most of them were filled with aliens of every shape and size he could imagine. In the center was a raised platform where speakers could address the council. Above everything was a dome made of clear material that showed the stars outside. "Earth's section is over here," Park So-min said, leading him to a small group of seats marked with Earth's flag. As they sat down, Tae-ho noticed something odd. All around them, aliens were looking in their direction. Not friendly looks, but nervous ones. Some aliens turned away quickly when he made eye contact. Others stared at him like he was a dangerous animal. Why is everyone looking at us like that? Taeho whispered. Like what? Park So-min asked. Like they're afraid of us. Park So-min nodded slowly. That's because they are. But why? We're just humans. We don't have claws or laser hands or acid breath. We're probably the weakest species here. Are we? Park So-min asked. Aliens were tall and covered in thick armor that looked like it had grown from their bodies. They had long arms that ended in claws, and their faces were hidden behind natural bone masks. They looked like they could tear apart a tank with their bare hands. They're the Corvin, Park So-min said, some of the strongest fighters in the galaxy. See how they're sitting, Taeho? Looked more closely. The Corvin were sitting very straight and tense. Their claws were gripping the arms of their chairs, and they kept glancing toward the human section. They looked nervous, Taeho said. They are nervous. So is every other species in this room. Do you want to know why? Before Taeho could answer, a loud sound filled the chamber. All the aliens in the room stood up. Council is starting, Park So-min said. Pay attention to how the other species behave. Watch how they interact with each other. And most importantly, watch how they interact with us. The session began with the council leader, an ancient being that looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a tree, welcoming everyone. Then the first issue was announced, a trade dispute between two alien empires. Taeho watched, as representatives from both sides took turns speaking. They were clearly angry with each other, but they were also clearly being very careful with their words. Their body language was tense, but controlled. They're holding back. See how they want to threaten each other? But they don't. Taeho nodded. He could see it now. The aliens were angry, but they were being very polite. Too polite, like they were afraid of what might happen if they weren't. After an hour of debate, the council leader called for a break. As aliens started to leave their seats, Taeho saw something that made him even more confused. Several aliens walked past the human section to get to the exits. But instead of walking normally, they gave the humans a wide space. Them like they were avoiding something dangerous. One alien, a tall bird-like creature with bright feathers, was walking normally until it saw Taeho. It stopped suddenly, its feathers standing up like it was scared. Then it quickly walked the other way, taking a much longer path to the exit. This is crazy, Taeho said. What is going on? Why is everyone acting like we're dangerous? We're the only ones who came in here without weapons. Park So-min stood up and stretched. That's exactly the point, she said. Come on, let's get some food. I think it's time you learned the truth about why humans are the only species allowed to be unarmed in the council chambers. As they walked toward the exit, Taeho noticed that aliens moved out of their way without being asked. Not rudely, but carefully, like they were being respectful of something they didn't want to disturb. Tomorrow, Park So-min said, I'm going to take you to the archives. There's something you need to see. Something that happened 50 years ago when humans first joined the galactic community. After you see it, you'll understand why everyone in this room is afraid of us. Taeho looked back at the council chamber as they left. Thousands of aliens, each one stronger and more dangerous than any human. All of them armed with natural weapons that could kill in seconds, and all of them afraid of the two humans who had just walked past them. He shook his head. Tomorrow couldn't come fast enough. The next morning, Lee Taeho woke up early. He had not slept well. His dreams were full of giant aliens with glowing eyes, all staring at him with fear. He kept thinking about yesterday and how strange everything had been. He met Park So-min at the breakfast area. The food hall was huge, with sections for different types of aliens. Some ate liquid food, others ate rocks, and some just absorbed light from special lamps. Did you sleep well? Park So-min asked as she sat down with her coffee. No, said honestly, I keep thinking about yesterday. Why won't you just tell me what's going on? Park So-min smiled sadly. Because you wouldn't believe me if I told you. You have to see it for yourself. Every human ambassador does. It's the only way to truly understand. They finished eating and walked to the council chamber. Today, there was a big problem to discuss. Two of the most powerful groups in the galaxy were having a fight, and it was getting serious. The Corvin Empire and the Synthetic Collective have been enemies for 1,000 years, Park So-min explained as they took their seats. The Corvin are natural warriors. They think biological life is the only real life, The synthetics are artificial beings. They think machines are better than flesh and blood. Tejo looked around the chamber. The tension was thick. On one side sat the Corvin delegates. They were huge, covered in natural armor, with claws and bone spikes. On the other side sat the synthetics. They looked like humans, but were made of metal and plastic with glowing circuits under their skin. They hate each other, Park Soman said quietly, really hate each other. The council leader called for order. Today, we discuss the incident at the border between Corvin and synthetic space. General Hector of the Corvin Empire will speak first. General Hector stood up. He was the biggest Corvin Tejo had ever seen. He was almost 3 meters tall, with thick armor plates covering his body. His claws were as long as knives, and his eyes burned with anger. The synthetics have broken the peace treaty, General Hector said. His voice was deep and rough, like grinding metal. They sent warships into our space. They attacked our mining station. 17 Corvin warriors died. He slammed his fist on the speaker's platform. The sound echoed through the chamber like thunder. Many aliens jumped at the noise. This is an act of war, General Hector continued. The synthetics think they are better than us. They think biological life is weak. They are wrong. We demand justice. The council leader gestured for him to sit down. Unit Prime 77 of the Synthetic Collective will respond. Unit Prime 77 stood up. It looked like a human, but Tejo could see it was completely artificial. Its skin was silver, and blue lights ran along its arms like veins. Its eyes glowed with soft, white light. General Hector speaks lies, Unit Prime 77 said. Its voice was smooth and calm, like a computer. Our ships were investigating energy readings in neutral space. The Corvin attacked us without warning. We defended ourselves. Lies. General Hector roared, jumping to his feet. Your kind cannot. Tell truth. You are just machines pretending to be alive. And your kind cannot think beyond violence, Uniprim 77 replied. You are primitives who solve every problem with claws and teeth. The argument got worse quickly. General Hector's armor plates spread out, making him look even bigger and more dangerous. Unit Prime 77's circuits glowed brighter, and small weapon ports opened on its arms, even though they were empty. Other aliens in the chamber started to look nervous. Some moved toward the exits. The tension was growing dangerous. Enough, General Hector shouted. I challenge you to combat. Let us settle this the old way. I accept, Unit Prime 77 said immediately. My weapons against your claws. Both beings started walking toward each other. Their species had done this before, settling arguments with violence. It was legal under galactic law as long as both sides agreed. But then something strange happened. Both General Hector and Uniprime 77 stopped walking. They looked around the chamber, and their eyes found the human section. When they saw Tejo and Park Somin sitting there, they both froze. General Hector's armor plates slowly folded back. Down Unit Prime 77's weapon ports closed. The glow from their circuits dimmed. Perhaps, General Hector said slowly, we should discuss this more. Yes, Unit Prime 77 agreed. Discussion is better than violence. They both sat down, but they kept looking at the humans. The whole chamber had gone quiet. Every alien was watching the two humans to see what they would do. Park Soman stood up slowly. The silence got even deeper. She walked to the center of the chamber, her steps echoing in the quiet. Perhaps, she said in a calm voice, we should take a break. Everyone needs time to think. The effect was immediate. General Hector and Unit Prime 77 both nodded quickly. Yes, General Hector said, a break is good. I agree, Unit Prime 77 said. Time to think is wise. The council leader looked confused but called for a 30-minute break. As aliens started to leave, Tejo noticed something amazing. The Corvan and synthetic delegates didn't leave through different exits like they usually did. Instead, they walked out together, talking quietly. What just happened? Tejo asked as Park Suman returned to her seat. I suggested a break, she said simply. But why did they listen? You're not the council leader. You're not even speaking today. And they were ready to fight to the death. Park Soman gathered her papers. Come on, let's go get some fresh air. There's an observation deck nearby. They walked to a large window that looked out into space. The stars were beautiful, but Tejo was too confused to enjoy them. They were afraid, he said. General Hektar and Uniprime 77. They were afraid of us. Yes, Park Soman said. But why? They're both incredibly strong. General Hektar could tear me apart with his bare hands. Unit Prime 77 has weapons built into its body. We're just humans. Just humans, Park Soman repeated. Do you know what makes humans special, Taeho? Not really. We're not the strongest. We're not the smartest. We don't have natural weapons or armor. Most aliens are better than us at everything. That's true, Park Soman said. But there's one thing humans do that no other species in the galaxy does. What? We choose not to fight, even when we can. Taeho thought about this. Lots of species are peaceful. No, Park Soman said firmly. Lots of species avoid fighting because they're weak, or because they're smart enough to know they'll lose. But humans, we're different. We could fight. We could win many times, but we choose not to. I don't understand. Park Soman pointed back toward the council chamber. General Hektar and Unit Prime 77 were ready to kill each other. They've been trained their whole lives to see violence as the answer to problems. But when they saw us sitting there, they remembered something that scares them more than death. What? The possibility that they might be wrong? That violence isn't the answer? That there might be a better way? Taeho shook his head. That doesn't make sense. Why would that scare them? Because, Park Soman said, if humans are right about peace being better than war, then every other species in the galaxy has been wrong for thousands of years. Their entire way of life, their cultures, their beliefs, all of it might be wrong, and that scares them, terrifies them. Imagine finding out that everything you believed was wrong, that you've been hurting people when you could have been helping them instead. Taeho looked back at the council chamber. Through the windows, he could see aliens talking in small groups. The Corvin and synthetics were still together, and they seemed to be getting along fine now. So they listened to you because they're afraid we might be right about peace. Exactly. Every species here has weapons, natural or artificial. They're all ready to fight. But humans choose to be vulnerable. We choose to trust others. And that choice is so alien to them, so impossible in their minds, that it makes them question everything. But what if they're not wrong? What if violence is sometimes necessary? Park Soman smiled sadly. Then we'll be the first to die, but we'll die believing there was a better way. A chime sounded, calling everyone back to the chamber. As they walked back, Taeho noticed something different. The Corvin and synthetic delegates were sitting closer together than before. The tension from earlier was gone. Amaro, Park Soman said as they took their seats, I'll show you the records of first contact. You'll see exactly how humans changed the galaxy forever, and you'll understand why we carry such a heavy responsibility. Taeho watched as the session resumed. General Hektar and Uniprime 77 were being polite to each other now. They were actually working together to solve their problem instead of fighting about it, all because two humans had been sitting quietly in the chamber, doing nothing but being present. The thought should have made him proud. Instead, it made him more nervous than ever. 3 days had passed since the humans first walked into the Galactic Council chambers. The giant station called Nexus Prime hummed with activity as delegates from dozens of worlds argued about trade routes, mining rights, and border disputes. Kim Tae sat at the human delegation table, reading through documents on his tablet. Around him, other species wore their weapons and armor like they were going to war. The Heshkan delegates looked like walking tanks with their thick shells and sharp claws. The Corvani had metal parts growing from their bodies that could shoot deadly beams. The Velthari carried long spears that glowed with energy. But the humans, they wore simple black suits and ties. No weapons, no armor, no shields. The trade route dispute of Sector 7 will now come to vote, announced Elder Counselor Vexmaran. His voice echoed through the massive chamber. Kim Tae looked up from his tablet. This was an important vote. The trade route went through space that both the Heshkin and Corvani claimed. Whoever controlled it would make billions of credits from shipping fees. Commander Gexner stood up from the Heshkin section. He was huge, even for his species. 3 meters tall, with a shell that looked like it could stop a tank round. His 4 arms ended in claws that could cut through steel. His black eyes stared across the chamber at the Corvani delegates. The Heshkan Empire has used this route for over 1,000 cycles, Gexner said. His voice sounded like rocks grinding together. We will not give up our ancient rights. The Corvani delegate, Admiral Zhurkik, activated his biomechanical implants. Green lights blinked along his arms as weapon systems came online. Ancient rights mean nothing. The Corvani Federation controls 3 systems along that route. By galactic law, we have jurisdiction. Other delegates shifted in their seats. Everyone could feel the tension building. These 2 species had fought wars before. Big wars. Wars that destroyed entire planets. Kim Tae watched quietly. This was his first major council session. Ambassador Kang Ho had told him to observe and learn. Watch how they handle disputes, Kang Ho had said. See what makes them angry? Understand their weaknesses? Commander Gexner's eyes swept across the chamber. They stopped when they saw the human section. A cruel smile spread across his face, showing teeth that could bite through metal. Perhaps we should ask the newcomers what they think, Gexner said. He started walking toward the human table. Each step made the floor shake. The humans seemed to have opinions about everything else. Kim Tae felt every eye in the chamber turn toward him. He could hear whispers in a dozen different languages. Some delegates sounded worried. Others sounded excited, like they were about to watch a fight. Tell me, little human, Gexner said as he reached the human table. He leaned down, putting his massive clawed hands on the surface. The metal bent under his weight. What does your weak species think about trade routes? Do you even have any ships worth mentioning? Kim Tae looked up at the giant creature looming over him. The HFY commander was trying to scare him. That was obvious, but Kim Tae had studied the files on HFY behavior. They respected strength and despised weakness. Showing fear would make everything worse. Earth operates approximately 1,000 civilian trade vessels, Kim Tae said calmly. Plus our military escort fleets, of course. Gexner blinked. That was a lot more ships than most species had. Escort fleets? Standard procedure, Kim Tae explained. We learned early that unprotected cargo ships attract pirates. So every trade convoy travels with armed escorts, usually a few destroyers, and a carrier group. The chamber got very quiet. A carrier group was serious military power. Most species only had a few carriers total. Gexner's smile faded. You send warships to guard your trading ships? Well, yes, Kim Tae said. Like it? It was obvious. How else would you keep them safe? The universe is a dangerous place. But that means your civilian trade operations are actually military operations, stammered Delegate Vextari from the Velthari section. Kim Tae looked confused. No, those are completely separate. The trade escorts are just to keep pirates away. Our actual military fleets handle the real threats. The silence in the chamber grew deeper. If the humans used military escorts for simple trade missions, what did their real military look like? Commander Gexner tried a different approach. Your homeworld is pathetic, he snarled. I have seen the reports. Only one planet, no great empire, no conquered territories. Your species is weak. Kim Tae nodded politely. Earth is our only official colony world. Yes, see, weak, Gexner roared. The HFY Empire spans 14 systems. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. Oh, we have settlements on hundreds of worlds too, Kim Tae said. But we don't call them colonies. What do you call them? Strategic positions, Kim Tae replied. Mining outposts, research stations, military bases, listening posts, that sort of thing. Admiral Zhurkik leaned forward. Military bases? How? Many military bases. Kim Tae thought for a moment. I'm not sure of the exact number. Somewhere between 800 and 1,200, I think. It depends on how you count the mobile platforms. The entire chamber erupted in shocked whispers. 1,200 military bases. That was more than most galactic empires had total settlements. Commander Gexner was getting angry. His intimidation tactics weren't working. The small human just kept answering questions like they were having a friendly conversation. Your people are cowards, Gexner shouted. You hide behind technology instead of fighting with honor. Kim Tae looked genuinely puzzled. Why would we want to fight with honor? Fighting is about winning, not honor. A warrior's honor is everything. Respectfully, Commander Kim Tae said, We tried the whole honor thing about 2,000 years ago, knights and codes of chivalry and all that, but then we invented gunpowder, and it became pretty clear that honor doesn't stop bullets. Bullets, small. Metal projectiles fired at high speed, very effective against armor. Kimte gestured toward Gexner's thick shell. That's probably thick enough to stop most small arms fire, though. You'd need something bigger. The HFY commander's eyes narrowed. Are you threatening me, human? Oh no, not at all, Kimte said quickly. I was just making an observation about armor effectiveness. It's interesting from an engineering perspective, but his tone had changed slightly. There was something in his voice now, something cold and calculating. Like he was already figuring out exactly how to kill the 3-meter-tall armored alien. Standing in front of him, Park Yuri, who had been sitting quietly beside Kimte, finally spoke up. Commander Gexner, perhaps we should return to the topic of trade routes. The HFY commander spun toward her. Silence. I was not speaking to you, female. That was a mistake. Park Yuri stood up slowly. She was much smaller than the alien. Warrior, she wore no armor and carried no weapons. But something about the way she moved made every combat-trained being in the chamber take notice. Commander, she said quietly, I suggest you reconsider your tone. Gexner laughed. It sounded like rocks falling down a mountain, or, what little human, what will you do? Park Yuri looked him directly in the eyes. When she spoke, her voice was calm and steady. I will demonstrate why humans don't need weapons in council chambers. The threat was delivered so casually that it took a moment for everyone to understand what she had just said. The human security chief had just challenged a HFY war commander to combat without weapons, without armor. Without any kind of protection at all, the chamber fell completely silent. Commander Gexner stared at the small human woman. His warrior instincts told him she was dangerous, but his pride demanded he not back down from someone so much smaller, and apparently defenseless. Elder Counselor Vexmaran's voice cut through the tension. Order. We will have order in these chambers. The moment passed, but something had changed. Every delegate in the chamber was now looking at the humans differently. The small group of beings who carried no weapons had just faced down one of the most feared warriors in the galaxy, and they had done it without even raising their voices. As delegates returned to their seats and the session continued, whispers spread throughout the chamber. The humans weren't defenseless at all. They were something else entirely, something much more dangerous than anyone had realized. After the confrontation in the council chambers, whispers followed the humans wherever they went. Delegates from dozens of species watched them with new eyes. The small group of beings who carried no weapons had faced down Commander Gexner without fear. Now everyone wanted to know why. Research analyst Vexdari sat in her private office aboard Nexus Prime, staring at her computer screen. She was Velthiri, which meant she was naturally curious about everything. Her people were known throughout the galaxy as scholars and researchers. If there was a mystery to solve, the Velthiri would find the answer. Computer, show me all available data on species designation. Human, she said, the screen filled with information, population, 8 billion. Homeworld, Earth technology level, standard galactic. Military classification, unknown. That last part bothered her. How could a species join the Galactic Council without a proper military assessment? She dug deeper into the files. What she found made her pause. Earth's history was full of wars, not just a few conflicts here and there, but constant warfare stretching back thousands of years. Computer, compare human conflict frequency to galactic average. The results shocked her. Most species had major wars every few hundred years. Humans had major wars every few decades. Minor conflicts happened almost constantly. Her door chimed. Enter, she called. Intelligence Officer Jurkek walked in. He was Corvani, which meant half his body was biological and half was machine. His metal arm clinked against the doorframe as he entered. You are researching the humans too, he asked. Word travels fast. After what happened with Gexner, everyone is asking questions. Jurkek sat down heavily. My superiors want to know. If humans pose a threat to Corvani interests, what have you found? Jurkek activated a holographic display from his arm implant. Numbers and charts filled the air between them. Disturbing things. Look at this. The display showed Earth's military budget compared to other species. They spend more on weapons than most galactic empires spend on their entire governments. Vextory studied the numbers. That cannot be right. They only have one planet. That is what I thought. So I dug deeper. New charts appeared. They have something called a military-industrial complex. Entire sections of their economy exist only to build weapons and military equipment. For what purpose? They have no enemies that require such massive preparation. That is what makes it disturbing, Jurkic said. They build weapons not because they need them, but because they can. It is like breathing to them. Vextari pulled up her own research. Look at this. Human history shows they have fought wars for the strangest reasons: religion, economic systems, political ideas, even skin color. Skin color. Apparently humans come in different colors naturally, and they used to kill each other over it. Jurkic's mechanical parts whirred as he processed this information. Most species fight over resources or territory. These humans fight over ... concepts. Ideas that exist only in their minds, Vextari confirmed, and they fought these wars with incredible intensity. Look at this conflict they call World War II. The holographic display showed casualty numbers that made both aliens go quiet. 60 million dead, entire cities destroyed, populations relocated, industrial capacity dedicated entirely to producing weapons. This was just one war, and it only lasted 6 years. 6 years of total war, Jurkic said. Every factory, every citizen, every resource focused on defeating their enemies. This is not how civilized species conduct warfare. It gets worse. After this war, they developed weapons that could destroy their entire planet. Then they built thousands of them. Thousands. Why would anyone need thousands of planet-killing weapons? To make sure their enemies knew they were serious about using them. Meanwhile, in the Council's private dining area, Ambassador Kong Ho sat across from Heshkan Trade Minister of Alpha. They were discussing mining rights in the Outer Spiral, a region of space rich in rare metals. The Heshkan Empire has established mining operations in 17 systems, Velthok said. He was smaller than Commander Gexener, but still impressive. With his thick shell and powerful claws, we do not appreciate newcomers trying to claim our territory. Kong Ho sipped his tea calmly. Earth respects all established claims. Of course, we are only interested in unclaimed systems. There are no unclaimed systems in the Outer Spiral. Our surveys suggest otherwise. Kong Ho set down his cup. We have identified 43 systems with valuable asteroid fields and no permanent settlements. Those systems are under Heshkan protection. Ah, I see the confusion. Kong Ho smiled pleasantly. When you say protection, you mean you have patrol ships that visit occasionally. We call that undefended space. Velthok's S-claws scraped against the table. You dare suggest Heshkan forces are inadequate? Not at all. I am sure your patrols are excellent for keeping away pirates and small threats. Kong Ho's tone remained friendly. But serious mining operations require serious security. That is why Earth usually establishes permanent defensive positions around our mining sites. Defensive positions? Military bases, orbital weapons platforms, patrol fleets. The usual. Kong Ho spoke like he was discussing the weather. We learn from experience that undefended mining operations attract trouble. Velthok leaned forward. What kind of trouble? Oh, pirates claim jumpers, hostile governments. The last major incident was in the Kepler system. A local warlord thought he could take our mining platforms by force. What happened? Kong Ho's expression did not change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. We removed the obstacle. The warlord, his fleet, his home base, his support infrastructure. All of it. You destroyed his entire operation. We solved the problem permanently. That is the key to successful mining operations. Make sure everyone understands that interfering with Earth's economic interests is unprofitable. Velthok sat back in his chair. The human was talking about wiping out entire military forces, like it was a minor business expense. In another part of the station, Park Yuri walked through the security section with Corvani security officer Creon. They had become friendly over the past few days, sharing stories about their work. Your species fascinates me, Creon said. His voice buzzed through mechanical vocal cords. You seem so peaceful, but there is something underneath. Humans are peaceful, Park Yuri said. We prefer to solve problems without violence. Yet, you carry yourself like a warrior. All of you do. Park Yuri considered this. Every human learns to fight. It is part of our education system. All of you, even civilians, of course. We call it physical education in schools. Children learn basic combat skills, tactical thinking, teamwork under pressure. Everyone serves in the military for at least 2 years. Creon stopped walking. Every human is military trained. Was military trained, Park Yuri corrected. Most people move on to civilian careers after their service. But yes, we maintain basic readiness. How many humans have military experience? Current military personnel. About 50 million active duty, maybe 200 million reserves. But if you count everyone who has served at some point, she paused to calculate. Probably 3 billion people. 3 billion trained soldiers. Former soldiers, most of them are doctors, teachers, engineers now. But they remember their training. Creon's mechanical parts, word as he processed this. The humans had turned their entire population into a reserve military force. Every civilian was a potential soldier. We had two, Park Yuri continued. Human history is full of wars. Total wars where entire populations were targeted. We learned that everyone needs to be ready to fight, or everyone dies. That is why you are not afraid of Commander Gexner. Gexner is one warrior. Very dangerous, very skilled. But he thinks like an individual fighter. Humans think differently. How so? Park Yuri smiled. We think in terms of systems, logistics, supply chains, industrial capacity. Gexner sees a battle. I see a war. And wars are not won by the strongest warrior. They are won by the species that can build the most weapons, train the most soldiers, and keep fighting the longest. By the end of the day, both research teams had reached the same conclusion. The humans were not just another species seeking trade opportunities. They were something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had turned warfare into an art form. A people who had survived thousands of years of constant conflict by becoming the most efficient killers in the galaxy. And now they were sitting in the Galactic Council chambers, offering friendship and trade agreements. The question was, what did they really want? And what would happen if someone said no? The emergency alarms began screaming at 0347 station time. Red lights flashed throughout Nexus Prime as delegates rushed from their sleeping quarters. The massive space station shook as weapons fire struck its outer shields. Ambassador Kang Ho arrived at the emergency command center, still wearing his sleeping clothes. Around him, alien delegates shouted in panic. Their translators struggled to keep up with the flood of frightened voices. What is the situation? Kang Ho asked calmly. Commander Vextal, the Corvani security chief, turned from his command console. His mechanical parts sparked with stress. Pirates, a large fleet. They have attacked the joint mining operation in System 7. How many ships? 50. Vessels, maybe more. They have taken hostages. Vextal's voice buzzed with worry. Delegate families were visiting the mining platform. They are all trapped. The command center fell quiet. Everyone knew what this meant. The mining operation was a joint project between 6 different species. Children and spouses of council delegates were on that platform. Elder Counselor Thegz pushed through the crowd. His ancient Velthari features were tight with concern. Do we know what the pirates want? Ransom? Complete surrender of the mining rights. And, Vextal paused, they want the council to officially recognize their territory claims. Impossible, growled Commander Gexner. The massive Heshgon had arrived with a full combat suit. The Heshgon Empire does not negotiate with criminals. Your daughter is on that platform, Thexmaron reminded him. Gexner's 4 arms clenched into fists. Then we attack immediately. With what? Admiral Jerkic demanded. The station defense fleet has 12 ships. The pirates have 50. A direct attack would get everyone killed. The delegates began arguing. Each species wanted to protect their own people first. The Velthari demanded careful negotiation. The Heshgon wanted immediate assault. The Corvani calculated odds and found them hopeless. Ambassador Kang Ho stood quietly listening to the chaos. Then, he pulled out his communication device. Admiral Li Jin, this is Kang Ho. We have a situation. The arguing stopped. Every eye turned toward the human ambassador. A woman's voice came through the communicator. Admiral Lee speaking. "What do you need, Ambassador?" "Hostile forces have taken a mining platform. Multiple species civilians are hostages. The local defense fleet is insufficient for rescue operations." "Understood. What are your rules of engagement?" Kong Ho looked around the room at the frightened alien faces. "Zero acceptable losses among hostages. Minimal collateral damage to infrastructure. Timeline is immediate." "Copy that." "The rescue fleet is moving to intercept. ETA." 12 Mingwit's rescue fleet, Vextel asked. "What rescue fleet?" "The nearest human military ships are days away." Kang Ho smiled. "Actually, Admiral Lee has been conducting training exercises in the next system over. Pure coincidence." Through the command center's main display, they could see the pirate fleet surrounding the mining platform. 50 ships of various sizes, all bristling with weapons. The platform itself was dark, except for emergency lights. Incoming transmission from the pirate commander, announced a technician. A scarred face appeared on the screen. The pirate leader was Corvin, a species known for their cruelty. "Galactic Council dogs," he sneered. "You have 6 hours to meet our demands, or we start spacing hostages." The transmission ended. 6 hours, whispered Delegate Vextori. "How can we possibly organize a rescue in 6 hours?" 3 minutes until human fleet arrival, Kong Ho said, checking his watch. Everyone stared at him. 3 minutes. That was impossible, shouted the sensor operator. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. The main display changed to show the tactical situation. New icons appeared on the screen. Human ships. Lots of them. "How many vessels?" Vexmaran asked weakly. The operator counted quickly. 47 ships. No, ... Wait, more arriving. 63 ships. Still coming. "Admiral Lee, you are cleared to commence rescue operations," Kong Ho said into his communicator. "Roger, Ambassador. All units, execute Operation Clean Sweep." What happened next made every alien in the command center question everything they thought they knew about warfare. The human ships did not charge in with weapons blazing. They did not demand surrender. They did not negotiate. Instead, they simply appeared everywhere at once. Stealth ships materialized next to pirate vessels. Boarding pods launched before the pirates could react. Electronic warfare ships jammed all pirate communications. Heavy cruisers moved into position to cut off escape. "Routes. Impossible," breathed Admiral Zherkik. How did they coordinate so quickly? On the tactical display, pirate ships were going dark, one by one, not destroyed, captured. Boarding teams were taking control with surgical precision. "Rescue shuttle launched toward the mining platform," reported the sensor operator. "They are cutting through the station hull." Commander Gexner watched in amazement. "They are not fighting the pirates. They are simply ... taking everything." "Fighting implies the enemy has a chance," Kong Ho said quietly. "This is just a military operation." Within 20 minutes, it was over. Every pirate ship had been captured or disabled. The hostages were safe. The mining platform was secure. Admiral Lee's voice came through the communicator again. "All hostiles neutralized. Hostages are safe and being evacuated. Platform is secure. Do you want us to leave the pirates alive?" The casual way she asked that question sent chills through the alien delegates. "That will not be necessary, Admiral," Kong Ho replied. "Please process them through normal legal channels." "Copy that." Elder Counselor Vexmaran stared at the tactical display. Where 50 pirate ships had been, now there were only human vessels and empty space. "How?" he whispered. "How did you do that?" Kang Ho looked around the room at the shocked faces. "We have been preparing for situations like this for a very long time. Preparing this was planned, not this specific incident. But humans always prepare for emergencies. We call it contingency planning. We study possible threats and develop responses. You had a complete battle plan ready for a pirate attack on a mining platform." "We have battle plans for everything," Kung Ho said simply. "Pirate attacks, alien invasions, natural disasters, civil wars, economic collapse, resource shortages. We plan for every possibility we can think of." Research analyst Vextari stepped forward. "How many battle plans do humans maintain?" "I am not sure of the exact number. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Our military academies require students. To write new scenario plans as graduation exercises, the room was completely silent. The rescue fleet, Admiral Zherkik said slowly, "How large is it really?" Kong Ho consulted his device. Admiral Lee's task force, about 200 ships. It is not a large deployment. 200 ships is not large for Earth's military. No, we maintain active fleets in most galactic regions. For security, Commander Gexner finally understood. You have been watching us. All of us, since you joined the Council. We prefer the term monitoring potential threats, Kong Ho corrected, but yes, human policy is to maintain awareness of all military capabilities in our operational area. Your operational area? Kong Ho gestured toward the star map on the wall. Everything within 50 light-years of human interests, which, after joining the Galactic Council, includes this entire region of space. The implications hit everyone at once. The humans had not just joined the Council as trading partners, they had quietly established military dominance over the entire sector. Why? Vexmaran asked. Why reveal this now? Because you needed help, Kong Ho said, and because it is time you understood what kind of species you invited to join your council. The human ambassador looked around the room at the frightened, amazed faces of the galaxy's most powerful delegates. Humans do not carry weapons in council chambers because we do not need to. We are not warriors like Commander Gexner fighting. For personal honor, we are not scholars like the Velthari, seeking knowledge. We are not traders like most species, looking for profit. He paused. We are a military species. Everything we do, our economics, our politics, our culture, all of it serves one purpose, making sure humans survive and prosper. And the best way to ensure survival is to be so overwhelmingly powerful that no one dares threaten us. The room remained silent as the full truth sank in. The humans had not come to the Galactic Council seeking acceptance. They had come to take control, and they had done it so smoothly that no one had even noticed. 1 week after the pirate incident, the Galactic Council convened for an emergency session. The Great Chamber buzzed with nervous energy as delegates took their seats. Everyone wore their traditional weapons and armor, except for the humans. Ambassador Kang Ho sat calmly at the human table, reading reports on his tablet. Park Yuri stood behind him, alert but relaxed. Kim Tae organized documents with the same quiet efficiency he had shown since arriving. Elder Counselor Vexmaran called the session to order. We are here to vote on Resolution 4851, Human Delegation. Armament Protocols. The resolution was simple. It officially recognized that humans would be exempt from carrying weapons in council chambers. What made it significant was the reason behind it. Before we vote, Vexmaran continued, I want to explain why this resolution is necessary. Over the past week, our research teams have completed their analysis of human military capabilities. He activated the main display. Charts and numbers filled the air above the chamber. What we discovered has changed our understanding of galactic power structures. The first chart showed military spending by species. Earth's budget was larger than the next 10 species combined. Humans spend more on weapons than most of us spend on our entire governments. But that is not the most concerning discovery. New images appeared. Human military bases scattered across hundreds of worlds, patrol fleets moving through space lanes, research facilities developing new weapons. The humans have quietly established military presence throughout this entire sector. While we debated trade agreements, they built the infrastructure to control galactic shipping, communications, and resource extraction. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Some delegates looked angry. Others looked frightened. Commander Gex stood up. Are you saying the humans invaded our territory? No, Vexmaran replied. They purchased it legally. Every base, every outpost, every listening station was acquired through proper commercial channels. They simply bought their way to military dominance. Admiral Zherkik activated his holographic display. The rescue operation showed us how they think. While we prepare for individual battles, humans prepare for entire wars. They have contingency plans for every possible conflict scenario, including wars against us, added research analyst Vextari. The chamber fell silent. Yes, Kong Ho said, speaking for the first time. We have defensive plans for potential conflicts with every council member species. Defensive? Growled Gexener. Humans do not start wars, Kang Ho explained, but we finish them, our military. Doctrine is simple. If someone attacks human interests, we remove their ability to attack anyone ever again. That sounds like a threat, observed Delegate Morkish from the Zentari Empire. It is a promise, Park Yuri said quietly. Humans learned long ago that the best way to prevent war is to make the cost of starting one too high to consider. Elder Counselor Thexmaran looked around the chamber. This brings us to the real reason for today's vote. The question is not whether humans should carry weapons in these chambers. The question is whether we want to acknowledge the new reality of galactic politics. He paused, letting his words sink in. The humans are now the dominant military power in this region of space. They could demand tribute. They could impose their will by force. They could dissolve this council and rule directly. But we have not, Kong Ho interjected, and we will not. Humans prefer cooperation to conquest. We would rather have trading partners than slaves. Why? Asked Vextari. With your military advantages, you could control everything. Kim Tae spoke up. Because ruling by force is inefficient. Happy trading partners are more productive than conquered slaves. Voluntary cooperation creates more wealth than mandatory obedience. Besides, added Park Yuri, direct rule would require constant military presence to maintain order. It is much cheaper to let you govern yourselves and simply ensure you make good decisions. The casual way she said this sent chills through the chamber. The humans were not offering friendship. They were explaining the terms of surrender. The resolution before us acknowledges these facts. Exmaran continued. Humans will not carry weapons in council chambers because they do not need them. Their weapons are their fleets, their bases, their economic control, and their industrial capacity. We also have something else, Kong Ho said. He stood and walked to the center of the chamber. We have the trust of your people. What do you mean, the rescue operation? Human forces saved lives from 6 different species. We did not ask for payment. We did not demand concessions. We simply helped because it was the right thing to do. He looked around the chamber. Your citizens saw that. They saw human ships risking themselves to save alien lives. They saw human soldiers treating rescued hostages with care and respect. They saw humans acting not as conquerors, but as protectors. This was true. Reports from across the galaxy showed public opinion shifting toward humans. They were no longer seen as mysterious newcomers, but as reliable allies who kept their promises. That is our real weapon, Park Yuri added. Not fear, but gratitude. Not conquest, but cooperation. People follow us because they want to, not because they have to. The vote was called. One by one, each species cast their decision. The Velthri voted yes. They understood the logic. The Corvani voted yes. They respected strength. Even the Heshkan voted yes. Commander Gexner had learned to acknowledge superior tactics. Resolution 4851 passed unanimously. As the session ended, delegates began filing out of the chamber. But many stopped to speak with the human delegation, not to negotiate or argue, but to simply say thank you for the rescue operation. Elder Counselor Thexmaran approached Ambassador Kung Ho. You have one, he said quietly. Without firing a shot in anger, without conquering a single world, you have become the dominant power in this sector. How does it feel? Kung Ho considered the question. Humans did not join this council to win anything. We joined because we wanted to be part of something larger than ourselves. And now you control it. We protect it. There is a difference. Later, that evening, Park Yuri and Security Officer Creon sat in the station's observation lounge. Watching stars drift past the massive windows, human patrol ships moved in the distance, their lights blinking in formation. I have a question, Creon said. Why do humans seem so calm about everything? Even when facing danger, you never show fear. Park Yuri smiled. Because we have already won every war that matters. What do you mean? Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We learned every possible way to kill, to conquer, to destroy. We perfected weapons that could end civilizations. We built armies that could occupy planets. She gestured toward the human ships outside. But then we learned something more important. We learned that the strongest weapon is not the one that destroys enemies, It is the one that makes enemies become friends. So, you conquered us with kindness. We showed you that cooperation with humans is more profitable than opposition. That is not conquest, that is just good business. Creon's mechanical parts whirred as he processed this, and if someone refuses to cooperate, Park Yuri's smile never wavered, but something cold flickered in her eyes. Then we demonstrate why cooperation is the better choice. As if responding to her words, a new group of human ships dropped out of hyperspace near the station. Not warships, cargo vessels escorted by destroyers. The regular supply convoy that kept Nexus Prime functioning. Your people will never leave, will they? Creon asked, why would we? This is home now. Earth is our birth world, but the galaxy is our neighborhood. We intend to be good neighbors. Good neighbors who happen to have the most powerful military in galactic history. The best kind of neighbors. Park Yuri agreed. In the months that followed, the new arrangement became routine. Human forces maintained security throughout the sector. Trade flourished under their protection. Pirates disappeared. Border disputes were settled through mediation rather than warfare. The Galactic Council grew in power and influence, with humans serving as the quiet enforcers of peace. Other species began requesting membership, drawn by the promise of stability and prosperity, and at every council session, human delegates sat in their section, wearing simple clothes and carrying no weapons. Not because they were helpless, but because everyone finally understood the truth. In a galaxy full of warriors, humans had evolved beyond the need for personal combat. They had made peace through the promise of overwhelming industrialized violence delivered with surgical precision. The humans were not just members of the Galactic Council, they were its guardians, and everyone was safer because of it. The galaxy had learned why humans were the only species allowed to be unarmed in council chambers. Not because they were weak, but because they were so overwhelmingly powerful that personal weapons had become meaningless. In the end, the strongest beings in the galaxy were the ones who no longer needed to prove their strength. They simply were strong, and that was enough.